Hi and welcome. It's Jennifer McGuire. I hope you're having a good day. Now today I'm sharing with you a few different ways to create winter window scenes. So I was collecting a few different stamp sets with really sweet winter images, and I thought it would be fun to pull them together and create little winter window scenes. So I have a few different ways of doing this. Some are sparkly, some are not, but they all are really fun to do, and I hope you'll give them a try. So I'm going to start by creating the window scenes themselves, and then we'll pull them into cards at the end of the video. I'm using a new stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. This is a collaboration between Simon and Gina K Designs, two of my favorite people. So this is part of Stamptember. It has limited quantities and it's only available at Simon Says Stamp. Now I will be using this little forest scene that's on the bottom. I'm using it for winter cards today, but you could probably use it for Halloween cards or anything else that you want to. It's one of those backgrounds that could be used in many ways. I'm starting by white heat embossing that little forest scene on some heat-resistant acetate. Make sure that your acetate can handle the heat from embossing, and make sure you also generously apply some anti-static powder tool onto the acetate. I did that off camera, but make sure you do it because that way you can be sure that you don't have any stray embossing powder where you don't want it. So I'm stamping the forest scene with Versamark ink onto the heat-resistant acetate, and now I'm going to add white embossing powder and heat set it. I do recommend getting your heat gun really good and hot before you bring it to the acetate so that you can minimize how much time the heat has to be on the acetate in order to emboss. But if you're using a heat-resistant acetate, then you don't have to worry about it. I like the heat-resistant acetate from Hot Off the Press and from Judikins. I find that they work really well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and heat set this, and then we'll end up with a beautiful bright white image against that clear acetate. I repeated this process on a few other pieces of acetate so I would have them all ready to create our winter window scenes. Now on most of my cards, I use this stitch frame to create the window scene. So this is from Lawn Fawn. They have stitched rectangle frames. So it has two cut lines with a stitching between them so that you get a beautiful frame. Now I die cut a bunch of these from 110-pound white cardstock, and that way I can layer them up to create that frame. So let's start with this example here. This one has glitter on the entire background inside the window scene. So I have some blue cardstock here that I cut to be slightly smaller than the outside edge of that stitched frame. So that'll be a perfect backdrop. I'm covering this piece of blue cardstock with some double-sided tape. I recommend Be Creative double-sided tape because it's super strong. This is available in sheets, but I wanted to show you can just put strips of it up against each other to cover a background. Once I've covered it, I'm cutting off the excess, and then I'll press it firmly with a bone folder to make sure it's stuck in place. Then I can remove the release paper. I'm going to add to this some of the new Lawn Fawn chunky glitter. This glitter is amazing. It has big pieces, and it's beautiful. It really catches the light. Now, since I am going to put this on a card, I was afraid the chunky glitter would fall off since I'm covering such a large surface with sticky tape. So by putting the acetate in front of it, we're going to keep any of the glitter from coming off when we mail this. So that's one of the advantages of putting acetate over this glitter background. After I've put the glitter over it, I'm going to save as much as I can, and I'll use my little hand vac to vacuum away all the excess. That's a really good tool to have nearby when you're crafting. And also I have a Swiffer dusting cloth ready to get any excess. I'm using my bone folder to really press that glitter into the background so that we don't have anything falling off. And there you can see the Swiffer dusting cloth to catch the extra. And look how beautiful that is. It just catches the light like no other glitter I've ever used. Now it's time to build the frame around this forest scene. So on the back of one of the stitched frame die cuts, I'm putting some strong double-sided adhesive. Again, it's that Be Creative tape. I like that the release paper is easy to remove from this and that it's available in a bunch of different widths. This is the 1/8 of an inch width. So I'm going to take this and place this on top of the heat embossing, on top of the acetate, just kind of framing the trees that I want, and I will go ahead and cut away the excess. Now I really want to build this frame up so that it really looks substantial on the front of the card. I'm actually going to glue 3 frames on the front of the acetate and 3 behind the acetate. So I die cut 6 extra stitched frames, gluing 3 to the front and 3 to the back. That'll give us some dimension behind it and on the front of it to look like a frame. So it does seem like I'm cutting up a lot of paper to die cut these frames, but keep in mind, there's a rectangle that's cut out of the center of each of them that I can save for other projects. And you'll see me use some of the scraps later on, so you're really not using too much. Now I'm gluing that glitter panel to the back of it, pressing it down, and there we have a beautiful winter scene. None of that glitter is going to rub off because it is protected by that acetate on front. Okay, so we'll come back to kind of pulling this together into a card, but next I wanted to show you another winter window technique. This one is to create a little shaker with that glitter inside. I know shaker cards are very popular, but this is definitely my favorite that I've ever done. So here I have the heat embossed acetate with 3 frames on the front and 3 frames on the back, so you can see how substantial it is. Now you could use thin strips of foam tape to build up the dimension in the back, but this looks so beautiful from the side and it's nice and strong. So I'm putting some of that same chunky glitter into this window frame. So this is on the back. I'm putting it in there, and I'm putting quite a bit in there. I feel like the more that's in there, the more it'll move around and the more sparkle we'll get. Now usually in shaker cards, people put sequins, but I decided to just stick with this chunky glitter, and I am so glad I did. Putting some strong double-sided adhesive around the edge, removing the release paper, and then I'm just putting a plain piece of pool-colored cardstock onto the back of this. Now, I'm not worrying about static in here. I actually want some static to be in there. I kind of hope there is, because that keeps some of the glitter from falling to the bottom when you hold the card upright. And check out the gorgeous movement and sparkle you get with this. This is definitely a great way to use glitter without having any kind of mess to deal with. So I know not everyone loves glitter, so I thought I would do an option that uses no glitter, and I really like this one. So I white heat embossed the forest scene on some acetate. Now for snow that's coming down, I decided to kind of sprinkle a little bit of white embossing powder from high above, because I didn't want clumps of it, I just wanted a soft sprinkle. So from about 2 feet above, I'm sprinkling a little bit on and trying to kind of get it as even as possible on this acetate. Now I need to heat set this, but there's nothing holding it on. So if I took a heat gun to the front of this, it would blow everywhere. So I'm actually going to warm up my heat gun and heat it from behind the acetate, and that will start to melt the embossing powder that we sprinkled on. So then once it starts to melt, which you can see, you can bring the heat gun to the front, and you end up with what looks like snow falling in the background. Now you want to get this as even as possible so it doesn't look like you messed up, but rather make it look like a snow scene. Now for the backdrop on this one, I wanted kind of an ombre look. So I have some pool cardstock, and I'm just applying some Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide ink to one side of it to kind of blend it out. You could use absolutely any ink for this technique. I just really like those oxide inks because they blend so easily. I do like to heat set it so that I can be sure that my adhesive will stick to it also. So I did build up the frame around that little snow forest scene, just like I did with the others, even though there's nothing inside of it, just so that we would have that beautiful dimension. And here you can see that snow just looks gorgeous on the background. So think of different ways that you can create a snow scene, and the white embossing powder is really easy. So now that I've shown you a few different ways to create winter window scenes, let's pull these together into cards. I used some really fun products on these. For all of the cards, I used sentiments from this Avery Elle stamp set that has some adorable penguins. I'm going to use those penguins on another card, but I thought the playful sentiments in here would be perfect for the cards that I created today. I was struggling with where to stamp these sentiments on my card and decided to use the My Favorite Things Essential Speech Bubbles. These have 3 different lengths in there, and they are great for adding sentiments to any kind of critter card. So I die cut a bunch of these speech bubbles from the scraps that I had from earlier. And remember, you can stamp on either side so that the speech bubble faces different directions. I'm just stamping the sentiments on there with black ink, and I like that there are 3 sizes to these speech bubbles so I can find the perfect size for all my sentiments. I'm putting adhesive on the back of each of the windows. Make sure you use a strong adhesive because you don't want that window coming off in the mail. And I'm gluing it to a 5.5 by 4.25 white note card. Decided to keep everything pretty white here so that the focus will be on the cute little images we put on the front. I used a little bit of foam tape to add each of the images to the window, just right onto the acetate, and also the little sentiment bubble. This little snowman here is from that Warmer by You stamp set from Gina K and Simon Says Stamp that I showed you at the beginning of the video. It's the same one that forest scene is from. I colored it with some Copic markers, nothing fancy, and I will cover it with some Wink of Stella shimmer so that it's nice and shiny and stands out even more. Now the background window on the one that you see here is the one where I glued the glitter flat, and you can see how it still gives a lot of shine even though the glitter isn't moving inside. Now to give some fun dimension to the white parts of his hat, I put tiny little dots of white Nuvo drops. Once those dry, I'll come back and put some more drops on top, and you end up with what looks like a little fluffy element on his hat. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's done in a moment. I'm also adding black to the eyes and to the buttons. These Nuvo drops are great for adding some nice shine and dimension. Now this card doesn't shake, but check out all the beautiful shine that you get even by gluing the glitter flat into the background. And now since my first white Nuvo drops dried, I'm putting a few more on top, and you'll see here, I'll bring it close to the camera, the dimension that I got by doing that. It makes it look fluffy. You could also use a snow marker for this, but this gives a lot of shine to it and it stays more true white. Okay, so let's look at how the other cards all came together. For two of the other cards, I used some little critters from this Avriel Winter Wonderland stamp set. There are some adorable images in this one. I decided to use the bunny and the deer, but check out that little bird in the center. He is just so cute. So I stamped them on white cardstock, and then I colored them with Copic markers, and I used the coordinating dies to cut them out. Nothing fancy, I just wanted a cute little image on the front of each of my windows. So here we have the glitter shaker card with the little bunny on front. I like that most of it's white so that you keep the focus on that beautiful glitter in the background and the cute little bunny on front. I used the deer on the window frame that we created with the white embossing powder snow kind of drifting in the background. This one's very simple. I didn't use anything shaking in there. You could if you wanted to, but I really think using that white powder is a great way to create some soft snow in the background. Now I did create one other card using something different than the frame. This is a tag die that is great for shaker cards. Inside here, I did just the glitter shaker card like I showed you before, and I did do that ombre background by inking it first. Now this cute little bird here is from Flora and Fauna, and I love all the little images in here. Lots of birds and some branches that are great for the holiday cards, but I just went with one of the birds. Now for the tag die set, I used this shaker tag from Avriel. Now in this set comes this tag die that I used today, the little words that you see, and a circle tag die that you see over there to the right. So all of those are included together, and these are great for making shaker cards or any kind of window card. I really like that it has the pierced details around the edge also. I just added some string to the top of it and glued it to a white note card. So there are some fun ways to create winter window scenes. These are just so much fun to make. I hope you'll try them. The supplies are linked in the YouTube description below, but go to my blog for more photos. If you'd like, check out those videos in the middle and hit subscribe. I appreciate you stopping by. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.